Hello and welcome to Broadcast Focus. My name is Russell Trafford-Jones and thanks for joining me. On this show, we talk to the people behind the media and entertainment industry. And today, I'm very pleased to be joined by Georgiana Verdonk, Fractional CMO, Executive Coach and Rise Mentor. Georgiana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Russell. It's nice to be here.
Very glad to have you with us. And I think one thing that we were interested in talking about was mentoring. And you're a Rise mentor. So first of all, anyone who's watched the show should know about Rise, Women in Broadcast. From your perspective, what is Rise? How would you describe it?
Rise is a great program for elevating women in the broadcast, right? I think just recently when we were all at IBC, we realized that the ladies' restroom, there isn't a line. It's not as long as the men's restroom, right? I mean, this is a good example just to show that there are not as many women in the broadcast industry at this point. And what Rise does is to set up a official, if you like, a mentoring program. And they were developed 2 years ago. I believe they were founded 2 years ago, but yet this has grown remarkably. I mean, they've now moved into this program into various countries. We're talking about Asia, Australia, Europe, where I'm based. I'm based in Amsterdam. And so I'm a mentor with them for the Europe, and it's a 6-month cohort. So we've got mentees that we're paired with. My mentee is based in Norway. So it's an official program, and I think it's really helpful because, we work in many organizations and there isn't an actual official mentoring program in all organizations. So this is a way for women in the industry to reach out, join Rise and get paired up, or work as a mentor, or get paired up if you're a mentee with a mentor. And this is a really, to me, it's I'm all behind this kind of official programs, and in addition to other organizations that's available, of course, in the broadcast industry right now.
What's the extent that Rise is operating outside of the UK, being a UK-based organization?
Well, I guess for me, I've just joined them recently. It's my first foray as a mentor. I do feel that we are, I don't feel shortchanged that it was founded in the UK. In Europe itself, we've got a good group of mentors and mentees. For example, in Amsterdam, the 3 mentors, we've got 3 mentors, and we meet up, once every quarter. And IBC was a great event which brought us together, mentees and mentors from the European region. So I've managed to meet many mentors and mentees during IBC, and so I feel that the Europe cohort, it's a great cohort. And of course, you've got the UK cohort as well, and they probably meet within the UK, which is fine. And in Europe, we've got different events going on, informal events as well. And we all meet as a group. And so
yeah.
No,
that's good. There's kind of, on top of the mentor-mentee relationship, you've also got that internal kind of relationship where everybody's kind of together, and that's nice. And so what's your...
Sorry, so I just want to add, because it's about networking, isn't it, as well? It's about coming together with, it's a way to get us together. It's a way to get like-minded people together. Mentors, for example, we have a certain, we like to do this. We want to be able to mentor young, not just young, but any professionals actually in the broadcast industry, right? Yep. So we've got that commonality, and that brings us together. So, and mentees alike, right? I've seen them meet up at IBC networking events and drinks. They've met up, they've grown stronger as a result of it, and we boost each other's confidence that way too, right? So that's part of mentoring.
Yeah, that helps. So, what's your background in terms of your career and your, I guess, your perspective? Because everyone has, I imagine, a slightly different view on the world or the corporate world. And so, what's how did you get into the industry, and what have you done as you've come through and become in this case, become a Rise mentor? But I know that it's something that you believe in all the way through.
Yes, yeah. So I've started my journey in my career. I'm a clinically trained psychologist. So I made an early pivot, from the hospital settings into the corporate world. And my corporate journey began with Motorola. I was at Motorola Inc. for 17 years. I held senior roles across Chicago, London, where you are, in Singapore. And that was where I was developing kind of my strategic marketing and global brand leadership expertise. So from there, I moved on into leading a digital marketing agency called Hubble, and I led the Asia Pacific business, where I, worked with global companies to establish their brand positioning strategies. And then, most recently, I was Caden Technology. I was the CMO, and I helped them develop a comprehensive marketing transformation. And today, I now work as a fractional CMO, where I partner with companies to help them differentiate themselves in competitive markets. I think in the broadcast industry, many times we walk around IBC and we try to understand, what does this company do in, how does it differentiate itself from the other company? Because it seems to say low latency too, platforms as well. We use kind of the same words, but how do they differentiate themselves? And I'm also, in addition to being a fractional CMO, I also serve as an executive coach and counselor, where I help I support young professionals in navigating their career and personal challenges. So, I'm kind of started off as a clinical psychologist and, moved into the corporate world, different setting, but still always using psychology, if you like. And I'm passionate about helping young professionals. As I see them, and I think and I reflect. And being a mentor, you reflect on your career path and your journey, and how and what were the the stages in your career where you had that right mentor, that helped guide you. I've had a few, so I'm very lucky to have quite a number of mentors in my life, in my career, especially as I moved through different cultures and different environments. I love to say, I love to talk about how different, when I got to the UK, I started working in London, and I thought, I got it set. English is my first language. I've got this, right? And and my mentor, I remember, she said to me, you might want to consider, incorporating the word trousers in your vocabulary as opposed to pants. And I thought, that is such simple, constructive feedback. And, and I'm like, thank you so much. I've forgotten that the word pants has a different connotation. And but a mentor helps to bring that to light and help me adjust into a different environment. So I do feel that you pick up mentors along the way as you meet them. You get to pick them And I'm sorry, I'm probably diverting from what your original
Not at
question,
all.
but this is how my journey has been as I reflect about my journey, and therefore I now am very passionate about helping young professionals,
Mhm.
you know, walk that path. So this is what I do now.
And in terms of mentoring, I think that the way you talk about it, you say you kind of pick up mentors as you go along. I think your approach or view of mentoring is that it's well, first of all, kind of an ongoing process, but it's not necessarily as organized as I think the word mentor in my mind kind of comes with like a process and some people behind it and a plan and some action. But perhaps at the very least, we could say that for you, as the years have gone by, you've found certain people who have become mentors. Just is that just because they're nice people and they're automatically telling you stuff, or was there a little bit more to and fro to that?
um, Good question. So I think it's a combination of
Hmm.
that, of what you've just described, right? I think Rise is a great program. And not just Rise, you've got like Women in Streaming Media, you've got a few other organizations out there. And if I think it's a professional or just anyone in the workplace, if you feel that it would benefit you to get a bit of guidance or some feedback or even some advice, it's a good idea to reach out and start looking for a mentor. Now, you could then join Rise, a program like that if it's available. And it is. I mean, for Rise, for example, you just go on your website, sign up,
Hmm.
be a mentor or a mentee. Now, another option, and this is in addition to what you're doing already with Rise, maybe, or is perhaps if you find somebody that's in your organization. So when I was at Motorola, it can be quite daunting. It's huge. It's got different businesses, different cultures, and I as a young professional, I needed to figure my way around, right? We think back about when we missed out on our first promotion, or you felt that you were ready, this was time for me to go get a promotion, but you were missed on, you I remember feeling really undervalued and unappreciated. Maybe Russell, you never had that feeling. That's
Sure
great.
you are.
But I've gone through that. And this is a new feeling for us because we've gone through our school years where we study, we do what we're told to do, and we get up to the next level, right? We keep progressing, as long as we're being told this is what you need to do your exams, you will progress. Then you go into the corporate world, and so why am I not progressing?
Mm.
It's been 2 years. I've done everything my boss told me to do. So why am I not progressing? And I then came across this individual in my workplace. And emotionally, we did not have or not in my business at that point, we did not have a formal mentoring program. However, um, I came across this person who I would say was about maybe 3 levels above me. We had our grades, right? And he's
Right.
3 to 4 levels above me. Quite senior, but not too senior where he couldn't understand, couldn't relate to what I was talking about, right? So we're not talking about like the CEO who's like, "What? You're feeling undervalued?" Don't remember that, He's leading a department, and he was somebody that I reached out to, and he then said to me, "You know what? Would you like to engage in a mentor-mentee relationship?" And that was my first foray. That was my first entrance into,
Mm.
oh, okay, well, there's something called mentoring, and I can be a mentee. And we met on a regular basis. So we met once every 2 weeks, and I talked about how I felt, and how do I navigate things, and and he gave me very different perspective into how I was thinking. I felt that my boss wasn't listening. I was overworked, and we he managed to get me thinking that perhaps I'm just not communicating this. My manager didn't know that I felt that way. My manager didn't realize that I was feeling overwhelmed because I just took it on the chin, right? I want to prove myself.
Yep.
But having that feedback was so important for me, because then I started speaking to my manager, and he helped me. My manager then helped me prioritize my task,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't quit. I ended up working with Motorola for 17 years. I even then decided, okay, actually, I don't like HR that much. I'm going to go into marketing. So I I received that self-confidence that I needed. I also received some guidance about, this is how you navigate the corporate world. It's also about EQ. It's also about being seen. It's about communicating, and perhaps you're not learning to communicate well enough, things like that. So that really helped me. And I also learned to then pick up mentors along the way, from when I was in Chicago, London, and in Singapore.
Yeah, it feels like to me like mentoring. Some people don't need it, and I think those people therefore perhaps will kind of not really think about it or be confused about the concept, because in a sense it feels to me like it's giving you a boost of awareness. If you talk to children, teenagers about what they want to do in life, then often the answers that they come up with show a lack of general context and practicality. And just because we pass on from 18 into university, etc., it's not that we suddenly shed this lack of awareness. But some people are more self-aware. So what I'm getting at is that it feels to me like if people look at it as a boost to help you just get that extra context, then that's really what we're trying to help people have, and that it just gives you that little feedback, is that the right word, to know whether you're doing something right, or whether you could course correct and do something better.
I think in that sense, sometimes it gets confused with coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Because when you mentioned that just now about course correct,
Mm.
um, that could be also activated through coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is if you feel that, okay, there are certain skills that are missing, and you would like a coach to help you
Mm.
to make those changes, that that is kind of like you said, course correction. This is how a coach can help you do that. I see mentoring as something more of a longer relationship, if you like. I still keep in contact with all my mentors. Uh, just like a little check, even if we don't do a official, let's meet every 2 weeks kind of
Yeah.
deal. If whenever I'm in somewhere in my career where I feel, oh, I'm not sure if this is, if I should do this, if I should leave, or if I should, if I should leave my current job to go on to something new, and things
Yeah.
like that, I reached out to them. So they know me so well by now, right? They've seen me. So it's a more of a, to me at least, it's more of a relationship. It's also a way to kind of network, right? I've known of mentors. In fact, at IBC, I've talked to quite a number of mentors in the Rise program, and they are excited to advocate for their mentees. They've spoken to them, they see the value these
Mm.
individuals bring to the industry, and they're excited. They go around, advocating for them, which is a
Yeah.
great thing. I love it. And we talk about how, oh, we're struggling, we can't find the right people, can't find the right talent. And then you have these mentors, advocating for their mentees. it's wonderful because they see a side to them,
Mhm.
and they have that network, and they're extending their own network to their mentees.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
And I think,
that's great.
I mean, in terms of mentoring, we've got these then kind of three areas. You've got the informal mentors that you pick up along the way, like as we've discussed. We've got organizations like Rise, which are specifically trying to embolden and strengthen a specific part of demographic of the industry. And then I guess there's also kind of official company-led mentor schemes,
Mm.
which which I think from your perspective, you probably think is a good idea, but can always be done badly. If
I agree. Yes. I mean, I think it's good because typically organizations don't force that upon you, right? When it's a mentoring program, they kind of
sure,
suggest that. So, it takes away the connotations because, if you, it can go wrong, as you can tell, like if you have a team and you highlight a person in your team and you say, oh, would you like to join the mentoring program?
yep.
Now, that can be seen as, does she think I'm not good enough? Or it's just a slap on the wrist,
Well, it can be
right?
seen the other way.
Yes, it could be seen the other way. So
Mm,
we need to have that conversation with the employees to say, or with your team to say, hey, that's a good, it's a good thing. We are, um, mentoring shouldn't be seen as a slap on the wrist, nor should coaching, by the way, right? So now,
sure.
now I'm advocating for myself, but you know what I mean, yeah? It's like, um, and and official company led mentoring is good, and it can go wrong because sometimes the mentors, it depends, again, on the pairing as well, right? A good mentor is somebody who has certain characteristics,
Hmm.
right? It's not just somebody who thinks, I should be a mentor because I'm going to get ahead in my career. I'm going to be seen, I'm going to be seen in good light because I'm doing this because, I'm so great. That might be some warning signs there, right? Uh, I think it's not about knowledge and experience only. It requires empathy. Uh, I think it's good to train leaders to have empathy. So in that sense, I think I say it's good if we're training someone to be a mentor. But I would say that it's not necessarily somebody who's a superstar.
Mm,
Like I mentioned just now, a CEO. If you
sure.
pair that person up with somebody who's junior, it's a little too far removed
Yeah.
from reality, or it's just like, how do sometimes experts are not able to tell you the steps as
Mm,
to what makes them an expert, right? They're just an expert. They may not be able to relate to a novice.
sure.
And so um, it's also someone who is passionate about helping other people grow, right? They don't have a big ego. It's not about, okay, as you know, sometimes mentoring can come off really poorly because the mentor tells or instructs a mentee on what to do and expects the mentee to do it. So then you get a mentee who's
Yep.
overly stressed because he or she has their work duties, whatever they need to do to get through the day, plus all these activities that the mentor has heaped on them. So it's about a good listener. It's about someone who actually listens to the mentee. Not all mentees want to change jobs or to
Yeah.
change roles, right? But the mentor needs to listen to that, needs to appreciate that, and talk to them about, what is it that the mentee wants to accomplish. I had a mentee who really just wanted to know how do I just stop yelling?
Hmm.
Um, and if I was to go, oh, but then you need to get ahead in your career. You need to do this. You need to do that because I need to look good.
Yeah.
Yelling, oh well, that's a small bit, like yeah, just don't yell, right? That is not that relationship that's not going to grow. You need to listen to your mentee. What
Mhm.
is it that they want to overcome? And then you share your experience. You share experience like, oh yeah, I've had a few times where I perhaps sent out an email that I shouldn't have. Um, and what I did was I had to type it out and then wait for 10 minutes before
Mhm.
I send that, right? I mean, it seems so simple. It's just like such a simple advice. Um, but perhaps that's what the mentee needs to hear at that point, right? That
Yeah.
simple advice. So it's not about your ego. It's not about showing off. So yeah, so unfortunately, sometimes official programs can go a little wrong.
Yeah, so I think that's it's pros and cons. I think a company should be, willing to step up and invest in their staff. And if you, particularly if you're a larger company, if you find a group of mentors and you're willing to turn down certain people who want to be a mentor but they shouldn't be, then I think that should be something that they can boast about almost, and say,
Yes.
come on board. We look after you. We've got these benefits, blah blah blah, and we've got a strong mentoring program. But I guess one of the stronger things about having an external organization that specializes in mentoring is perhaps it's more likely to have a better outcome potentially.
Yeah, and it's also about the ease of someone of a mentee, uh, because we all know that's whatever that's it, we all have been trained, right? That on confidentiality, and of course in the official mentoring program, you would train the mentors and the mentees that whatever you speak, on one-on-one, it's a safe place. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be taken out of that context, right? And a mentor should not be going around
Yeah.
to somehow talk about or take action on behalf of the mentee. But sometimes in organizations that can happen. So then mentees maybe in a official program that's outside the organization, they might feel a little more at ease
Mhm.
about sharing how they truly feel about their boss,
Sure.
and that helps. And also a really good program is the reverse mentoring program that
Mm.
was first introduced, or at least first that we know of, was introduced by Virgin Atlantic, the CEO of Virgin Atlantic. Then I have to remember what his name is. He encouraged this, and it's a great book. There's a great book out on that. It's authored by Patrice Gordon on
Mhm.
reverse mentoring. So she was asked to develop the program within Virgin Atlantic. And the premise was to have the premise of the program is to have a junior employee mentor a senior senior management team. So it could be that's
Noted.
it. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, a senior management team, and that way, somebody in the senior rank would start to understand more about the perspectives of, from junior employees. So it boosts, it fosters inclusivity, right? And when you think about the broadcast industry, and very often we talk about, you know, are we missing out? Like there's a lot of sessions that we attend, right? The DPP session. I mean, there's so many of these events, IABM, and very often we say, well, are we missing out on what the younger generation want? Industry trend reports talk about, okay, is broadcast old? Younger generation doesn't even know the term TV, right? I have a 16-year-old. What does that mean, right? TV. So we want to hear from the younger generation. So many of us in C-suite, we feel like we're missing out. Well, isn't this a great program then? Do reverse mentoring, because
Yeah.
it's a two-way relationship, because the junior employees start to feel that they are being seen, they're being heard, that the management team appreciates them, right? And what a boost of confidence if you're asked as a junior employee to be a mentor to the CEO, the CFO, the COO, right? That's like a super boost to your morale. And so this is, I think, a really good program that organizations can think about, incorporating.
Yeah. Again, it's something you can be proud of, and it's part of your overall suite of things that you're doing for your employees.
Yes.
To highlight, there's 3 organizations that's probably worth talking about. So Broadcast Academy Mentorship Program.
I've just looked at it because I'm thinking, this might be something that I would be interested in registering as a mentor. I know they have been around. It seems to be that they've been around for quite a bit now. It's more European focused. It seems to be more European focused. To your point about whether RISE is more UK centric, I didn't think so. But at the same time, I looked at that thinking this might be a good opportunity to get involved as well.
Yeah.
The other one was women in streaming media, and then it brought to my attention because now during IBC, just the recent IBC, the female CTO, is it Tama Shaham? I'm not sure. Shoham? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Sorry, Tama. But she attributed that success and that innovative environment, to the diverse culture that they have at Beamer.
Yeah.
And I thought, and then at that point, she encouraged women to join women in streaming media and its mentorship program. So, I thought that was a great shout out. And so, yeah, I'm also looking into perhaps joining them, and maybe joining them as a mentee as well. It'd be nice to look for a mentor. I've not had one yet since I've been in Amsterdam. So, time to establish one for me.
And of course, RISE Women in Broadcast.
Yes, of course.
Is here.
Yes, let's shout out to them. Yep, it's a great program, and I love how enthusiastic all the cohorts have been. I've met mentees and mentors from different cohorts, so not this current cohort, but the previous ones, and they're all involved, and they have only good things to say about RISE. So, watch their space, as I would say, right? I mean, yes, and I love how they have big plans to expand further and to expand globally, and I think they're doing a great job there.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what more they do.
Indeed, I echo your what you say there. I haven't heard any bad things about RISE, and as you say, it's more of a I think, because it's a relatively short program for 6 months, but it's almost just lighting the fuse, because in general, people, as you say, continue to talk, continue to be friends. The network continues longer beyond the 6 months, and although the 6 months also includes some structured activities, including presentations and various skills, which is a fantastic idea, which is something we haven't really touched on. And but there's nothing to stop a company mentorship program having those attributes as well. That's part of the RISE thing, but I think I would imagine very few of the pairings stop talking after 6 months, and it's much more of a longer term relationship for both sides.
I agree. And I think, and thanks for bringing that up. I had forgotten to talk about the structure. Oh, Carla's going to get upset with me for that. Yes, and that's one thing that I feel, well, mentees have had really good feedback about the training sessions that they have. And I'm learning from that as well, because, when I have my conversation with my mentee and she's telling me about LinkedIn and she's teaching me, she's guiding me, and I'm like, oh gosh, I need to improve my LinkedIn profile and things like that, and all the great tips that she's passing on to me. So, it's a win-win situation. And back to mentoring with an official program, the way it's set up, I do feel that in addition to the relationship that you set up between the mentor and the mentee, you've got then the mentees going off even outside this cohort, the current cohort. Once they've gone past that, it's like muscle. It's like building muscle, right? You now have this experience, a great experience of being a mentee, and you can build up more. So, that you've got this trained insight on how do I spot my next mentor, right? Whether it's within your organization or not. So practice makes perfect, I think, right? So then from an official program, you can then move on to an unofficial program. So even if your organization doesn't have an official program, you know how to be a mentee. You know how to spot a good mentor, and you may also become a mentor in your organization. So I think it's only a great habit to have.
So and I think that it is, looking back on my own experience, I think it's definitely the case that I would have benefited at certain times from having a mentor. And the one mentor that was foisted upon me wasn't the perfect pairing. We can say that for sure. But
that was the key word, forced.
Well, exactly, and whereas I think for a well thought out program and for a large enough organization, that makes a lot of sense. I like the angle of not needing an organization. It's certainly hard, perhaps the first time, as perhaps you alluded to say, all right, spot somebody and talk to them about setting up some sort of regular meeting. But on the other hand, certainly once you've done it once, hopefully you've got that oomph in you to do it again.
The muscle memory helps. It kicks in.
Well, look, thank you, Georgiana, for joining me and talking about that, because I do think that in an industry which is as small as ours, it's really important and possibly even easier to have this type of mentoring, officially, unofficially, small or large. And I don't know that we talk about it enough, so I appreciate you digging into it and sharing your thoughts on it today.
Oh, thank you, Russell. It's a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Hope to speak to you again soon.